It's 1 year into the handshake. One team that is expected to look beyond the politics of the Kenyatta Odinga political deal is the Building Bridges initiative. The real product, at least formally, born out of the March 9th, 2018 pact. The team continues with stakeholder engagements to seek modalities for the implementation of the 9 points raised by President Kenyatta and ODM leader Raila Odinga. Of course, you know them. That is development, ethnicity, corruption, and such like things, including divisive elections, devolution, inclusivity, and so on and so forth. Paul Mwangi is one of the joint secretaries of the Building Bridges initiative. Thank you so much for making time for us.
Thank you.
This evening. You were actually supposed to be somewhere else and made time for us, and I think you...
Yes, we're supposed to be in Vihiga today.
Right. And this is actually your 22nd county.
That's our 22nd county. And tomorrow we shall be in Busia, and on Thursday we shall be in Kakamega.
Okay. 25 to go. May 24th is your deadline. I don't know if you're going to make it.
As I've said, we are already off the timelines because we changed strategy and decided that it is important for the work that we're doing that we visit each and every county.
Right.
Previously, we had thought that we are going to do it by way of regions, then realized that was going to go against what we were starting to do in the first place, which was inclusivity. And we thought that the best way to start with inclusivity is listen to everybody.
Right. So, I mean, how long do you think you need? 3 more months?
I would estimate about 2 to 3 months.
About 2 to 3 months. Yes. Okay, so we're talking about June or July, thereabout.
About July.
All right. We're talking about the politics, of course, that has been going on regarding the handshake, and you're supposed to look beyond it. Many, of course, are asking whether it's even possible for your team to look beyond the politics. And I'll give you an example. When somebody like the Deputy President accuses Raila Odinga of using the handshake to destroy Jubilee Party, a tweet from a key person in the Jubilee Party, Murkomen, that's Senator Murkomen, saying the handshake is the worst political fraud ever witnessed in this country. It is being used as a scheme to fight one individual together with a charade called Fight Against Corruption. It's a shame. How do you really overlook this?
First, you have to understand the handshake in perspective and in political perspective. And it's not happening in Kenya for the first time. In 1978, you had the handshake between Anwar Sadat and Manchen Begin when they signed the Camp David Accords. You had the 1993 handshake between Yitzhak Rabin and Yasser Arafat. We had a handshake between Nelson Mandela and de Klerk. We had one in Ireland between Ian Paisley and Martin McGuinness. And it always happens when you have two adversaries who are at a moment in time, in history, in a position to create lasting peace. And that is the perspective in which you must look at where President Uhuru Kenyatta and Prime Minister Raila Odinga were. Okay. That at this time in history, they stand as the only two people who symbolize how you can bring this nation together.
Goodwill for your work, however, though, is very important. That you agree from across the political divide. And if anything, it was the point of the handshake to unite the country, isn't it? But now we're having another side within actually the ruling party, within the government, that is not really happy with the handshake.
And that is also normal in terms of the handshakes. 11 years after he signed the Camp David Accords, Anwar Sadat was assassinated. Yitzhak Rabin was assassinated 2 years after he signed the Oslo Accord. What I'm saying is that this acrimony, political acrimony and reactions towards such momentous political decisions always follow events like those.
How is it affecting your work?
In fact, what is happening in Kenya is quite moderate. Okay. If you consider what has happened elsewhere.
We're hoping it doesn't get to that.
No, it will get to that. But that's what I'm saying. It's very moderate if you consider with how it affects the political situations in countries when you have such momentous decisions.
But how does it affect you?
It does not affect us because we fully understand why we have been brought together, and we are supposed to help them think through those things that they're supposed to do and that they're supposed to address, so that they can make this become a lasting unity for the country. Okay.
I mean, one of the why I'm asking that question, the other way it could affect you is if the pronouncements being made are already showing as where your recommendations could be going, or one of your recommendations, and that is as far as changing the constitution is concerned. Creators of the handshake have talked about it several times, Odinga especially, changing the constitution. Of course, we've had the president talking about relooking into the winner-takes-all system. Now, this being the brainchild of the president and the ODM leader, as you've said, we do not expect you to veer off from that, do we?
We are going to veer from that if it is necessary. and the people appointed are people who have the capacity, the independence, the integrity to be able to speak the truth. And one of the reasons they were brought together as that team is just because of their ability to speak to them what is the truth, as they will see it. But as we do that, we don't expect that simply because they have put together BBI, that they will stop being leaders. They will continue to be leaders of their own political constituencies. Those constituencies will continue to ask them questions, ask them for guidance, and they're going to have to respond.
But that's a given now, isn't it?
And for us, the work is that for us, we must be able, if necessary, to come later and tell them, for instance, if it is our opinion that a particular direction they wanted to take is not workable, to be able to tell them that truthfully and courageously. Tell them, we are sorry, this is what you thought, but that I don't think is going to work.
Are you in such a position as far as changing the constitution is concerned? Is it too early for you? Or?
We are not there yet. As we are listening to what people want.
Okay.
And what we have been saying is that whether that will require a change in the constitution or not will largely depend on what we think the solution will be. Because not every solution is going to require you to interfere with the law or with the constitution. But
that has been something that many people have talked about. Stakeholders appearing before you, isn't it? We've heard about issues about changing system of governance.
Actually, the position has been, and I don't like accusing the media, but I think the media has quite overrated the issue. In terms of priority, you find corruption to be the hottest item that we're dealing with. It's followed very closely by devolution. Surprisingly, the lack of national ethos
is also there.
Yes, as possibly a third in priority. And the issue now of changing system of government follows as a fourth item. That does not mean that people don't want it, but the kind of prominence it has been given as the most critical aspect of the work of BBI is erroneous.
How binding will this be? Ultimately, what your findings be? I mean, some have already, and I've seen the back and forth on social media. Some already saying the handshake is not the constitution, of course, and anything that comes out of the handshake. How binding will it be, and what are we actually going to see when your job is done? You're giving a report to the president and Honorable Raila Odinga, and what kind of report? And are we expecting bills to propose changes, if need be, from what you've gathered from the people?
We will do our recommendations, but a lot of what is possible or is not possible will also depend on, because they're investing their political capital. And each of them will have to determine whether they have sufficient political capital to follow the advice that we shall give. And whether they want to amend what we will tell them so as to cater for the political circumstances, we have no control. But the best we can do is tell them what we think, tell them that honestly, and leave it to them to determine what is workable now or what is workable in 2 or 5 years from today, and get it done.
With all due respect to what you're doing, and I'll read one tweet here, one text here on 22422 as we wind up. Jomo Gigi in Mukurweni says, the handshake that bore the head shakes, headaches, and heartaches was initially a well thought out idea until the time it took a political twist of ingenuity and intrigues to the detriment of the harmony much yearned for. The culture of deceit and underhand dealings will not yield the intended purpose, for lack of a better word, intended purpose, obviously, is what the Building Bridges initiative largely is doing. And of course, we had DGRC, we have Agenda 4, and I'm sure you've had this before, but we are not yet out of the woods as a country. So people ask, I mean, is it about looking into these laws, having these stakeholders engagements from time to time, different political times, or is it about political will? Don't we have these things already?
Well, the question the two leaders asked in their joint communique is that despite, yes, that we have so many things in
solutions, isn't it?
But they don't work.
Because of the people, or because of the leadership, or is it because...
That is what we have been told to go and find out. Why isn't it working? It's not a question of, is it that the laws are not sufficient? In some places, the problem is seriously not the law. So we have to go and find out why is it that laws are in place, proper laws are in place, but nothing ever seems to happen. We might come back and tell them that they are the problem, maybe. Or we might come back and identify a different problem. Maybe all the advisors they have ever had have never told them that you are the problem. That you are the problem. And if they are, we shall tell them that. If other things are the problem, we shall tell them that.
Right. Paul Mwangi is Joint Secretary of the Building Bridges Initiative. You have your work cut out for you. Not easy. Best of luck.
Thank you.
I'm sure we'll be hosting you again in a few months' time.
Thank you very
Tell us about the progress. But thank you so much for making time for us tonight, taking time off the stakeholder engagement in Vihiga. Thank you so much.